Omkaram bindu samyuktam nityam dayanti yogina kamadam mokshadam shaiva Omkaraya namo namaha. And that means in English, Om united with the source on which the yogis ever dwell, grants desires and liberation. Salutations to the Omkara. This is why I love this chant Om, because it says Om united with the source. With the source. What is the source? To never forget, we are united with the source. And as Wayne Dyer says in the movie The Shift, you just have to turn up and God will be there. So we are united with this source on which the yogis ever dwell. And this is the work we are doing as yogis. We are connecting with that source, whatever you call it, whichever you call it. I use God because I think we're all spiritual. You know what I mean by God, I hope. It's not a person, it's not a thing, it's the source, it's a creator. It was, even as human beings, we need to create things. So if you look at ourselves, who created this machine? If we want anything to happen, we create it, right? You want to write a book, you have to write it. So who created this machine that is so incredible that it can really do anything, right? And this is the Om united with the source. And that mantra, it's a mantra, to remind us all the time to be connected with the source on which the yogis ever dwell. So we're dwelling on it. Grants desires and liberation. Grants desires. I mean, we all have desires in this life, would you agree? Everybody has a desire for something. But sometimes desires are so hard because they grab you, they take you to a place of pain. And I'm going to talk a little bit about pleasure and pain today. Because you want something so badly, that want makes you experience so much pain. And here it says, may it grant every desire you have. And what will happen? Liberation. It will liberate you. Why will it liberate you? Because when you are granted any desire, and all of us know this, once you have it, whatever you want, what's the next thing? You worry about losing it. So learning that, oh my God, I got what I wanted. And now that I got what I wanted, I thought I would be free, but I am not free. I have become fearful of losing it. Oh my God, from one cage to another cage. So you start, then when it grants your desires and you learn that, then you become liberated. Then what happens? Your desires get granted, but you will not develop attachment to the desire. That is the difference that will happen. But to not have attachment for that desire is extremely difficult for a human mind unless we can desire something far greater. Far greater. You know, everything in this world is impermanent. What does Sri Patanjali tell us? What is the cause of suffering? The 5 kleshas. Ignorance. And we're just going to cover egoism, attachment. Attachment is the biggest one. Aversion and clinging to bodily life, okay? There you are. There's all the reasons why we suffer in this life. But he says ignorance. What is ignorance? Regarding the impermanent as permanent. The non-self as the self. The unpleasant as the pleasant. So these are the things that keep us wrapped up in pain. But once you have your desire granted, and you learn that by getting your desire, it's still not complete. You become liberated from it. Now, human beings, we're a little bit thick sometimes. We have to suffer a lot to really, really learn this truth. And while we're going through the suffering, the question will be, why me? Why me? Why has this happened to me? Why me? Why you dangle this carrot in front of me and say, I can't have it, right? Human beings think like that. And then I always tell people that I know, I say, why not? That you even can see that carrot, that you can even think that it could be delicious. Many people even don't have that experience. We're here to experience as human beings, are we not? We are here to experience as human beings. We chose to experience. You know, as Shakespeare says, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And that is so true. And we came to experience this thing. And one of my sayings, which I have up there, is love is the magic that keeps us all alive. Would you agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you see, when you have a higher love, so we're all searching for this great love. So, you know, this desire, so they actually come to us to teach us there's much more than this earth. Because all the desires that we seem to have, connected with relationships, connected with material things, connected with something outside of us, all these desires. But if we can have one desire that supersedes or transcends all the other desires, when they come to us, we will not even want to hold on to them, but just feel the feeling of gratitude that they've come into our lives. Now that is the state of freedom we yogis are looking after or for. And this doesn't happen overnight. For this to happen, the person has to undergo some painful experiences, very painful experiences. And during this painful time, the practice of the yogi is, okay, I am going through this, I cannot have what I want, or I've got what I want, and I'm jealous or fearful or scared of losing it. It's one cage after another cage. What do I do with all this suffering? Accept that you're human, number one. 2, I'm not permanent. Nothing is permanent. So I'm suffering through so much pain on a subject or an object or a idea that has no permanence anyway. So even if I get what I want, will it give me ultimate happiness? So while you're going through that pain, you ask yourself these questions. So why are you going through this pain? Why are you going through this suffering? To discover that there is something greater than this suffering. To discover that you are, oh my God, I'm definitely not permanent. Oh my God, I'm definitely something more than permanent. You know, I'm energy. I'm one with this creator, and whoever created me is giving me this experience to help me understand that nothing in this material world can really fulfill me except the knowledge that I am one with God or one with the universe. Nothing else can fulfill me because nothing else is permanent. Nothing else is real. Nothing. Don't you get moments in your life when you feel this is just like a dream? And sometimes it happens more with very good things that happen in your life than with bad things. Have you noticed this? When something very good happens in your life and you're very elated and you go, I'm living in a dream, because you're touching that element of love. You're touching that element of love, so it almost feels dreamlike. It's intoxicating. It's like a drug. That's why they say if you find the drug of love of the divine in your heart, then you won't want any other drug. But what will happen is all the other things that you desire will come to you. Why? Why do you think? Because you're not chasing them anymore. You're not chasing them. You're not fearful. and you're willing to let it go. Very hard for human beings to do. We always have the tendency, if we get the business we want, or we get the attention we want, or the fame we want, or the home we want, or this we want, or the partner we want to hold it and grasp it. Like the Buddhists say, this grasping creates so much pain in our minds and in our lives. So this is the time when you really have to be patient with yourself. The Bhagavad Gita says to us, what is poison in the beginning is nectar in the end. What is nectar in the beginning is poison in the end. And how many of us have seen this in our life? Something's happened to us in relationships, marriages, etc. Oh, it was the best thing that happened to me. 2 years down the road, I can't stand this person. Isn't it true? It's happened to all of us, How did that happen? Because you start to realize that in this world, there is so much imperfection. But what is that song? I love your perfect imperfections. How does it go? Does anybody sing? Yeah, that's a...
All of me, no?
Yeah. All of me loves all of you.
I love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections.
I love that song. I give you all of me. Now, if you can do that with everything in life and give all of you to everything in life, what will it give back? All of it. And accept the perfect imperfections, accept the curves and the bumps, go through those. When you can do that, then you are a yogi. You are living in that energy of love, and you are elevated inside. When you are elevated inside, life takes on a different hue. You are connected, united with the source on which the yogis ever dwell. And this is the prayer. Never let me forget who I really am. Never really, because when we go through all these things in our head, there's so many thoughts. And as Sri Patanjali says, we are not our thoughts. But if we think we are our thoughts, we will live those thoughts out. So if we can be like a strainer, when you strain your tea leaves or whatever, when you can watch your thoughts and strain them. That's how I see you strain them. Okay, I don't need these heavy thoughts. They make me unhappy or they fill me with pain. But even though you strain them, it's still there. You can still see them. And this is the first stage of pain and acceptance. You recognize the pain. You recognize you're in deep pain. You recognize it. You don't deny it. You don't fight it. You don't say, why me? You just look at it, and it is black. And you tell yourself, what is painful in the beginning will be nectar in the end. You got it. You learn fast. You tell yourself, because as you think, it'll become. Now, how do you convince yourself that is true? And this is how I used to do it. I used to say, okay, look back in my life. Look back in your life. All the painful times that you thought you never would get through. Didn't you get through it? How many of you I've watched suffer so much? At the time, I'll never get through it. I'll never get through it. You got it. You did it. Not only did you do it, you came out like champs. Why? What held you? What held you in those moments? And that's what you need to remember. Who's holding me? What's holding me? You know that lovely poem about the footsteps? And, he says, this man asks God, why in my time of need do I I find only one pair of footsteps on the road. Whereas when I had good times, there would be 3 sets of footsteps. But when I was in need, there was only 1 set. Why? I said, oh, that's because I was carrying you. Yeah? And we're carried. We are carried. Again and again, if you look at your life and the forces that have come through that time when you think you couldn't have done it, how did I do it? Or something's coming to your life and you have to make a shift, or you have to change it and you don't know why, but there is a voice inside of you that just pushes you forward. How did you do it? And you go, me? I did that? How did I do that? It's not something I could do or would do. How many people I have seen that become yoga teachers now, they never even thought they would even be able to speak in public. We just have to bring it out of ourselves. And when you give it all of me, just give all of you, and you think, and you can train your mind, and this is how you train it. You remember all those times, and you remember, I thought I couldn't, but I could. What was the force that helped me? And once you do it, you get the faith and the energy. But if you live in that pain and fear and feeling, oh, why me, why me? And that's what you'll get from the universe. You'll be why me for the rest of your life. And that's a sorry state to be in. Oh, I only do good to people, only I serve everyone. Why has this happened to me? And I always answer, because you're loved. Because you need to learn the lesson of non-attachment. Even if you don't want to, at the end of your days, you still have to, right? It's no choice. It's not a choice. That's one thing we know for sure. There is no choice in that. Death, we're all going to get there one day. There is no choice. The choice is while we are living here and now, here and now. So when you're in these periods where you lose all light, go for those memories that give you hope, and those that you acknowledge and recognized that have helped you in previous times. And if you look at that, you'll say, I can do it again. I can do it again. And as you think, when you say, I can get through this, you will. There is a force greater than you. And also know one thing, in your times of pain, there is the greatest of growth. Haven't you noticed? That's when you grow the most spiritually. It's like, oh my God, I have to go through this dark to see the light. And this is why all the great writers, all the great philosophers, you read all of them, they all talk about the dark night of the souls. You read poets, Gerald Manley Hopkins was a poet priest that I studied when I was studying literature many years ago. And he wrote one of the sentences, the world is charged by the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining on shook foil, like the ooze of oil on an olive crushed. Thank you. I remembered. So I didn't know I would remember that, but it came. So anyway, he was a poet priest, and look at the way he describes it. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining on shook foil. Now, when I read his poetry, then I read his life. I found out that he was constantly in dark places and very, very depressed. And I thought, how can somebody write this and be depressed? How does God help him in his life? And then I realized that he had to go through those dark periods to write that. If he did, Coleridge was another poet. Coleridge used to be in heavy depression, and he wrote some of the most beautiful poetry. Wordsworth was another one. I don't know if you like poetry, but I loved poetry. And I have a partner that writes beautiful poetry as well. So Wordsworth was another beautiful poet, and he talked about daffodils, and his drawings were amazing. They're all connected to the divine. So even in this earthly life, in our human form, sometimes the pain takes us to places that we never believed we could go to. My own book on losing my husband, Loss, Life and Love. If I didn't experience that pain, I wouldn't have experienced so many things in my life. I wouldn't be sitting here today because I know how impermanent life is. And I could send him away with so much love and light because of the spiritual knowledge I had. And I want everybody, my dream, this is my hope, everybody has this faith and this love and this knowledge that we are so looked after by this divine energy, that if we can focus it on it all the time, in our worst times in our life, there are huge blessings. There are huge experiences of light that you would never have had. It was in place of desperation in my mind and extreme pain, and I cried out, and there was the light. And it just literally was light. I mean, if you read my book, you'll know. Literally, I saw light. And it's not only me, as I see many of the people that I talk to, many of my clients, many of people who've gone through periods, it's happened to them. It's happened to them. And also you make an adjustment in when you go through pain, you adjust yourself. You say, why has this pain come to me? What reason? What am I doing that is creating this situation again and again and again? Especially when you're repeating the feeling or the experience, this is when you have to ask yourself, not what somebody else is doing to me, but why am I reacting again this way? It's my reaction. Whether they're right or wrong, or it's irrelevant. What is relevant is my reaction. Why am I reacting this way? Do I really want the same story to play again and again when I know nothing is permanent and life is so precious that I don't have the time to waste? I don't have the time to waste. And this is another thing when you're going through pain. Do I really want to spend all this time feeling sorry for myself? I'm going to accept I'm going to feel painful, last a few months, but it will pass. Will it pass? Will it pass? It will always pass. Remember, what is painful in the beginning is nectar in the end. Now, what is nectar in the beginning? It is poison at the end. And this is addiction. Any kind of addiction, any kind of possessiveness. This is mine, I have to have this. Any kind of, possessiveness, this desire to hold and have something belong to you forever. This kind of pleasure is going to bring you so much pain. So much pain. You've seen people got a beautiful partner. What happens? Jealousy, possessiveness brings too much pain. Brings pleasure. I got the perfect partner. No, I don't want you to talk to anybody. Anybody experience that in their life? Jealousies? It's horrible, isn't it? Oh, jealousy is a horrible thing. You know. So glad we don't have it. It's a horrible, horrible thing, because it's and that comes from the feeling, addiction, this is mine. And again, when you get into that mood, because as human beings we go through the gunas, we go through these moods. When you get through the mood, this is mine, stop yourself short and say, really? Is anything mine? Really? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being truthful to yourself? Is anything ours? Is anything mine? Is anything yours? Really? We came with nothing, we will go with nothing. Really? That's the truth. So, again and again and again, it is a gift. Everything is a gift. So, today, if the gift is with me, it's wonderful. I'm so grateful. Tomorrow, the gift wants to leave. Let it fly. It's painful, it's horrible, but it needs to fly. And then you think about how you're united with the source. What is meant for you will stay with you. What is not meant for you will leave you. And trust that. Trust. Trust the voice inside of you. Trust that spirit. That's mastering your mind. Trusting that. Not trusting all those crazy thoughts that go one day, oh, this is horrible, da, da, da. It's so fickle. The mind is so fickle. And people are so fickle. One day they love you, next day you can do 100 good things, and you do one thing wrong, and they'll tag you for the rest of your life. They won't remember the 100 good things you did for them. They'll remember that one bad, wrong thing you did. And even if you say, I'm sorry, they will not accept it. How many times have I seen it? How many times have you seen it? It's just life. So when you love with all your heart, except there's lots of imperfections. And then when you get hurt, it's okay. Life is not perfect. People are not perfect. It's my expectation of people that is making me sad. It's my attachment. Nothing to do with them. They're just there to teach me. It's your attachment. Just love them anyway. Just love everybody anyway. You don't have to be near them. You don't have to like them. Remember that. You don't have to like everyone. You can't. Not possible, right? There's some people in your life that will just grate you, and I'm sure that comes from previous past lives as well, because we've lived so many times, and they just grate, and you stay away. Love them from a distance. Don't go near them. Learn the secrets of spirit. Learn spiritual language. Spiritual language is not feeling guilty about how you feel, but understanding how you feel and then why you feel that way. Whereas most people, when they talk spiritual language and something tells them in their soul, stay away, right? You know all this feeling, stay away from this. This is not a good thing that's happening. I'm not in a good energy field. Then what happens? The thought comes, oh, I must be a bad person because I think that. Why didn't you listen to the first voice that say, stay away? Remember, this world is not perfect. There are people that will want to cause you harm. The warning signals is spiritual. It's telling you. It's not that they're bad. It's just that they're like that. Some people are just the way they are. We're not here to change anyone. We can't. We can't change anyone. We can only change ourselves. And when you know that, that is the freedom. That is the freedom. And sometimes to let go of that feeling of not wanting to control is really quite painful. But once you let go of that feeling, boy, is it great. And the only way to let go of that feeling wanting to control is being truthful. Truthful to yourself. Am I trying to control the situation to work out the way I want it to? Am I trying to control people to be the way I want them to? What makes me play God? Do I have the right? Ask yourself those questions. Because too many people try to play God. Too many people try to control other people. Try to control their lives. Try to control the way they think. And they get so upset and they come to me, no, because this. Yeah, you can't control it. You can't change anyone. Change yourself. Change your energy. How do you can change, because there's a great force. You just have to decide. Simple. It really is that simple. You don't need to read millions of books to understand that. And this is where the spiritual knowledge today, as I often talk about, is too much, right? There are too many things, if you turn on YouTube, telling you what to do, what to think, what to eat, what to wear, what to, what mantra to use even. No, use this one. This mantra is better than it. No, use this one. That's one of them. No, do that one. I mean, oh my God, how do people even know what to do? And I remember my master's words so clearly. He said, if you dig too many wells at the same time, you will get no water. Dig deep one well and go really deep, you will get water. You have 8 taps in the house, you turn all on, you get little, little, little. 8 taps in the house, switch 7 off, turn 1. What is your pressure? So stick to one thing if you can. It's too confusing out there, and it can be addictive. It can be so addictive because, and then what happens to people who become addicted? There's a lot of great things, please don't get me wrong. It's wonderful. There are some wonderful talks and there are some incredible things on YouTube. It's just amazing. But if you go to too many places, all you're doing is thinking everybody else's thoughts. And then I see panic. People come to me panicking. Oh, Nalanie, I don't know this. Oh, don't worry about it. I don't know it too. And I'm supposed to be the teacher of teachers. Ha ha ha. What you worried about? But is that your goal? To know it all? Or is your goal peace? Because mine is peace. Are you getting it? Ask yourself, is that your goal, to know it all and be so smart? Because even if you are so smart, you can never be so smart, because there's no way on earth can this mind ever know everything. And in fact, the more you know, the more confused you get. And the more you know you don't know. So, as I always say, is my favorite word, keep it simple. Spend more time with you. Spend more time with the divine, this great force in you. Spend more time in communication with like-minded people. You will gain so much of spirit like that. Much more than you can do from any of these things. Be in nature. That is the best teacher in the world. Just be in nature. It talks to you. It will talk to you. And we need more time to do that. We need to have more time to make this force work in us. And when we stay away from nature, we become more dense, we become more materialistic, and we become more driven by the outside material world. We just become driven. It will drive us whether we like it or not, because the material world is so powerful. It's also so beautiful, but it's so impermanent. Okay, so it's not what you know. It's not what you have. It's how you live your life. And that is what all of us as yogis have to remember. It's not how people tell us how we have to live our lives. It's how we feel from inside. Because you don't want to die without living that mission that you were born to live. None of us have to do that. And mostly out of fear, we live the way we're not supposed to live. And mastering your mind is really understanding what goes on up there all the time. What goes on that makes you keep going outside? Why? What are you fearing? What do you fear? What have you got that you're going to lose? You came with nothing and you're going to go with nothing. What are you frightened of? So live fully in the spirit that was put into your body, in your personality, because each one of us came from that same divine source. Got it? We did. All of us. Whoa, that's quite incredible, right? Quite a great designer. Each one a masterpiece. Each one unique. Each one designed. If you think that way and see how much thought was put into your design, then you will just want to live the best you can. And all this stuff about low self-esteem, or oh, I can't, you don't have time for that. You just, okay, this job's given to me, it's a bit scary, I'm going to shake a bit, yes, I'm going to get nervous, but I'm going to do it. It's come to me, I didn't ask for it. I'm just going to do it. It's come to me. And when you follow that, you find that it was what you were meant to do. You never had to look for it. It came to you because you allowed it to come to you. And this is the wonderful thing about spirit. It is so exciting that you allow it to work through you. You allow it to speak through you. I never prepare when I come in here. I didn't even know I was going to speak about pain today and pleasure. But I just allow because I trust. And I know if I say something wrong, I'm soon being beaten down. Because the force is so great. But what is the intention? The intention is that we all need to raise ourselves by ourselves, and that is the message. That my job is to give everybody that message. That's why we're here on earth. This is the reason we're here on earth. To live out our personal human mission. Nobody is really better than anyone. Okay, else maybe I have some knowledge thanks to my dad and my guru and all the people that came into my life that were incredible. I don't like to focus on the nasty ones. Don't have time for them. But thanks to all those wonderful people, maybe I have it, so I want to share it. But so do you have things that I don't know about that you can share. Do you see each one has their own book? Each one has their own story. Each one has their own connection with the united with the source on which the yogis ever dwell. So when you allow yourself to learn through people, this is the most incredible knowledge. Better than any books in the world. So nature, working and being with people of like nature, being all the time focused on united with this source on which the yogis ever dwell. When you do that with your mind constantly, this is the practice. One simple mantra. United with the source. Take a deep breath. That's it. Again, take another deep breath. And release. And stay quiet. And listen to the silence.